beverage can. 3,000 thick.
Chris Crowley is vice president of Polar, which has been making beverages in downtown Worcester since 1882. It's been in his family for 4 generations, and he remembers inspecting bottles on the line when he was just 11.
I made a bigger mess.
It was so loud, the glass bottles banging together. Dad, my head hurts. Kids don't get headaches.
These days, Crowley's graduated to product development and revenue growth, but perhaps more importantly, he's also in charge of this guy.
Yeah, that's my job. I'm keeper of the bear. I go up occasionally just to make sure the aesthetics are appropriate.
If you've ever passed through Worcester on Interstate 290, you know the inflatable bear. He's been waving from the roof of Polar since the 1970s.
I mean, people write to the polar bear. It gets Christmas cards. It gets birthday cards. It's been stolen so many times. You know, high school kids would come up and knife it. It was bad news. One time it was painted anatomically correct. It had a woman's parts on it. It was just in the middle of winter. Like, oh my God. It's evolved. It used to be Big Jolly Polar Bear. Now it's our theme is physically fit. So he's been on the juice. I think he's been on steroids. He's very fit now, jacked up.
Polar's mascot has been forced to adapt to more health-conscious times, much like Polar itself. In recent years, the beverage industry's sugary drinks have been blamed for America's obesity epidemic, and proposals for a so-called soda tax have been gaining momentum throughout the country.
They're certainly trying to position us as the next tobacco.
Crowley argues that larger socioeconomic forces are to blame for our expanding waistlines, and that a soda tax in Massachusetts would be unfair.
We'd be gone. We would be bankrupt because we have fixed costs that having a business changed that dramatically, we couldn't meet our lease payments or our debt obligations.
It wouldn't be the first time Polar has been a target of sweeping state and federal laws.
My family was in the liquor business.
Before the 1920s, Polar made whiskey and other liquors. But Prohibition went into effect in 1919, forcing the company to refocus on seltzers and ginger ales, leaving liquor to the bootleggers, for the most part.
We provided apparently glass containers during Prohibition to them because they could run the whiskey, but they couldn't get the bottles. So apparently my evil grandfather provided the bottles.
After Prohibition was repealed in 1933, Polar stayed focused on waters and soft drinks, a decision that continues to pay off. For the past 2 decades, Polar has doubled in size every 4 years, and it reached $300 million in sales this year. What's the secret to the company's longevity? Crowley says it's their humble roots.
We have the best competitors in the world. Coke, Pepsi, Nestle Waters. I mean, these guys are the best trademarks in the world. But, you know, sometimes, particularly 10, 15, 20 years ago, they were very, very arrogant. The one reason I think we're successful is nobody ever really lived large. We were very, very modest. And we invested everything back into the company. We're from Worcester. We can't be arrogant.